Now. Okay, are we live yet? Only time shall tell. Yay, then we are live.
It's live.
All right. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so tonight we have a special episode, and we are going to be discussing Star Wars and pretty much anything that encompasses it. We're going to talk about books, movies, the animated series, games, comic books, if people want to talk about those, a little bit of everything, and just go through a whole menagerie of things and see what comes out of it. S- Yeah, right, exactly. So tonight, as of right now, we know we have at least one person going to be late. Mark Jackson will be late, but he assured me that he should be on. So we got Morpheus GI. Say hi there, Morpheus.
Hello.
And we have Anna Wim 7737. A lot of you guys already know her.
Hello.
And of course we have Quick Smoke, um, my protege, my um, Padawan, if you will.
May the fourth be with you all.
And of course me, your friendly neighborhood, fuzzy-bellied Loco 4-pack. So, like I said, we're going to have a few more people coming on probably, and they'll be coming on in a little bit, and but we'll get going from there. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of razzle dazzle and fanciness.
Ooh. Oh, Stella can't hear me, so that's a bit. Hopefully the audio's good. Stella says she cannot hear you. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me?
They won't be able to hear much right now. Okay, so Um, there we go. Let's do another mic check, see how things are going. Nacho, how come you don't have your butt in here? Oh, he said he got the time wrong. Um, yeah,
That is such a great intro.
yes,
Thank you. I love
yeah.
that.
Mikey did an awesome
Morpheus
job with that.
can collide.
Yeah. So Nacho looks like Nacho's going to be coming in hopefully, and so he'll be joining us soon. So let's go ahead and get the mic check. I've turned everybody up. They're not full bore, but hopefully that helps. Other than that, I can only really control them on off of Discord. Everything else is turned up all the way. So Morpheus, if you want to give another mic check and see if anybody can help or help
Yeah,
hear you.
will do. Will do. Hold on. Alright, let us know if you just heard Morpheus.
Okay, so Nacho will be in a minute. Am I coming through clear to everybody?
Let me turn up my audio, see if I can. Alright, I can hear you. It's a bit of a funky chicken.
Well, I've got Morph turned all the way up to 200%.
Yeah, I got my.
I've basically turned everybody up to 200%.
Nobody else is
Hopefully,
showing up.
yeah. Hopefully, this is better.
Yeah, I know you came in a lot. had a lot more clear there, Morpheus.
Yeah, I've had to turn microphone boost up, which I usually don't like doing.
Thanks, G4. Mikey, you need to speak up.
I can't yell any louder. If I can, I gotta figure out how to do this on my phone.
Don't tell me you got one of those crazy Apple phones.
No, I gotta,
All right. So,
my volume is all the way up, so.
cool. Well, we'll just have to see if there's anything else we can do about it.
Okay, let me do an audio check here. This is on a whim. Okay, so those who don't know, I can hear Gary just fine, and I'm checking, trying to check both. I can hear everybody on Discord just fine. It's what's coming through on YouTube seems to be the mess.
Did that help?
Oh, I hear Die pretty good.
Who knew
Yes.
turning up my computer audio for Discord would affect the stream?
That makes sense.
Okay, okay, everybody seems to be coming through now. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Okay, let me go back and double check.
All right, we should all be good now.
Ball with the ball. The bang, the bang.
Yeah, there we go.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See,
Teamwork.
another example of Mikey and I's, particularly me, amateurness, and I strive to maintain my amateurness, and because it makes me special.
Well, you do a fine job at it, Gary.
Thank you. All right, so not like I said, Nacho will be in here shortly. Noisy was supposed to be here. I don't know. Maybe he's not going to make it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in an additional guest, somebody to replace Noisy,
Drum roll.
and it's going to be everybody's favorite Shell, and we'll get him in here now.
Pasta. You said shell, I'm thinking food.
Shell pasta. All right, Shell, you should be able to get into the podcast channel now, so go ahead and give that a shot and come on in.
Stella would like to know if you can give her the Discord link so she can hear it without having to use YouTube.
There's always one person.
There's
It's always Stella.
That one? Yeah, what's up with
It
that,
always
Stella?
is. We play 76. We play 76. Oh, can we go on Discord chat? We go on Discord chat. Can we go on 76 chat?
Stella, you're not even in my Discord. Well, how is that not even possible?
I don't know. I'm here.
Hey, Shell.
Hey, Shell.
Hey, hello all. How am I not in your Discord?
I'm talking to iStella.
Oh.
God.
It confused me. Remember, I got a goldfish in my brain.
Hi, Shell. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Di?
Goes well. I'm looking
Hello,
forward to
Shell.
this
Welcome.
vlog because not that I know anything really about Star Wars, but I thought maybe I'd learn something.
Oh man, I've been waiting for this ever since Gary put that question up. I'm like, oh heck yeah, I want to be on this sucker for certain. Star Wars is literally I lived and breathed it since day
All right.
one.
All right, there's an invite to my Discord. So if you're not in my Discord and you want to join my Discord, come on in. I'm going to need to friend you in order to get you into the chat where you can actually hear it, because I have to give you a special permission. But anybody that's not going to be part of the quote unquote chat or the stream itself, I will mute you just so you can hear but not speak. But we may unmute you from time to time. And if you do get unmuted, you're part of the stream permanently. So just keep that in mind. We're going to have one hell of a party here.
Cool.
So I wanted to put a limit of 3 hours on this, but since we got started late, I'm going to put a limit of 3 hours on this.
I was going to say.
Just to keep things, running smooth like always. So
Just like we usually only put an hour on our normal podcast show that goes 3 hours. So
yeah, exactly. So, because I figure this is going to be a topic that we could talk about forever, and so we kind of need to make some sort of a hard stop. Otherwise, I have a feeling that Morpheus will be all bleary-eyed and ready to bounce his head off his keyboard at one point. So,
Yeah.
because it's going to be pretty late for him.
Well, the other day, I didn't go to sleep till about 7:30 in the morning. So I did wake up at like 5 p.m. So
Wow.
it's fine. I know. Best sleep of my life.
All
So.
right,
But
there we go. We got Ice still in here. All right. Okay, Ice Stella. All right. Now you should be able to come into the GM podcast where you can come in and then just if you don't mind just muting your microphone when you come in, Stella.
that's right. If you speak, we have to charge you $9.99 per hour.
Sweet. I knew we could make money off of this somehow. All right, so let's get started on what the topic of the day is. As everybody knows, this is Star Wars Day. It's May 4th, and I just want to say to everybody, may the Force be with you, and let's do some Star Wars talk.
You know what? Let me say, before we get going,
nice pump.
let's do it a moment of silence for Chewbacca. We will miss him dearly. He was a great character. Unfortunately, he died yesterday or the day before.
Day before.
Day
So
before.
for those of you who don't know, Chewbacca himself didn't die, but Peter Mayhew died, the original actor who played Chewbacca, and so yeah, he was being as big as he was, he had some medical issues and that kind of stuff, and so obviously, like Mikey said, he will definitely be missed. So let's have a moment of silence for him.
All right, that was great.
Thank you, chat out there in YouTube land, for keeping yourself silent. I appreciate that, and shows a lot of respect, and that's always wonderful.
I was really trying to be quiet how sensitive this microphone is. Just rustling earphones. I'm like, shh.
Be quiet. All right, so let's get going. One of the questions I have is, I want to know when and which movie and when did you see it? Which movie was the first one you saw, and when did you see it? And if you want to elaborate on where you saw it. Not that anybody might know the theater or whatever, but might be interesting to kind of find out if you saw it in the theater or on TV or whatever. So we'll start with Morpheus.
Oh, good question. Empire Strikes Back was the first ever Star Wars I've seen, and I was probably about 5 or 6 years old at the time. And the specific, I'm not going to say spoiler alert because it's been out for 30 years, but I did just give you a spoiler. So the scene specifically when Darth Vader kind of removes Luke's hands kind of scarred me and made me love the film. And I remember watching it at my, what was it now? I can't remember when I watched it. Sorry. But it was that kind of scene made me just get into it, because the Darth Vader kind of stature and who he was, there's no other film I saw by that age, of being I was 5 or 6 years old, that had the kind of influence he did. And I remember going as a fancy dress when I was 8 as Darth Vader. And that kind of, for me, that's my favorite ever Star Wars film, because of what it's set in stone. So where it started for me.
Awesome. And Shell?
I saw New Hope. When it first came out, I don't know how old I was. It was at a Star Tours theater in Utah, Sandy, Utah. It's not there no more. It's been destroyed. Someone tore it down because it didn't have enough money coming in. But it had when I first saw it, they had a robot of C-3PO and R2-D2 in the theater where you could actually walk up and touch them. And yeah, I was real young. My mom took me there. She's the one that taught me how to smuggle food into the theaters.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And cool. And how about you, Di?
Let's put it this way. I saw it so long ago that I have an original box set in VHS tape of the collector edition of the first 3 movies.
I still have them. Yeah, I have those.
I
And it
was
was,
only
at, it was at Woodfield Theater in Illinois. So, yes.
Awesome.
In a galaxy far, far away? Well, mine was long ago. So,
long ago.
I think
Yes.
Di actually saw it in a drive-in. She drove her Brontosaurus there.
yes. Actually, I took my Flintstone mobile. So,
And what about you, Gary?
Well, I wanted to bring Nacho in because he just joined us. Welcome, Nacho. Glad
Hello,
you're able to
Nacho.
make it. And
Nacho,
Nacho!
so what we're talking about is when you saw your first Star Wars movie, which movie and where?
I believe I was maybe 3 years old. It was Empire. I don't remember it. Mom and Dad told me about taking me to see that movie, and they had to cover my eyes during the scary parts.
Awesome. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so for me, I first saw Star Wars: A New Hope when it was actually re-released in '78, because I was only 4 in '74, and I don't remember if my parents had even gone to see it on their own or what have you, but we went as a family to a drive-in here in Iowa, and yeah, it was pretty interesting. I remember Darth Vader scared the shit out of me. It's like that dude is freaking vicious. Yeah, so I remember that very vividly, and my brother, he was a couple years younger than me, so he didn't quite remember it. But just before Empire came out, HBO, we had HBO by chance, and they were playing A New Hope all the time. And I bet we watched that thing like every time it was on HBO that month or whatever. I mean, they may have even had it on for a couple months. Every time it was on, we were watching it, unless we were in school or what have you. And yeah, we were so stoked to go to Empire when it came out, and yeah, it was good times.
Is that your favorite film? of
What's
Star Wars?
A New Hope? No, I would. Oh, that's actually something I wanted to talk about here in a little bit. So we'll couch that one until
we'll
later.
come
Yeah.
to it then. Yep.
How about you, Mikey?
You know what? It was on HBO when they were playing The New Hope. It was when I first saw it at home, and fell in love with it, and started watching them whenever I could, whenever they were getting on. My parents didn't like going to the movies all that much, so I had to wait until it came out on HBO to watch all of them.
Right. Very awesome. So Morph brought it up, and that's great. I like the fact that the guests want to have questions, and that's awesome. So, which is your favorite Star Wars movie?
Hold on, audio's going a little weird. So for me, Favorite Star Wars again. It's got to be Empire Strikes Back. It's just the villainy, if that's an actual word, and how well structured the villains were in that specific film as compared to others I saw at that age. There was not really parallel because we had Lion King and you had Scar. There's nothing. So the Vader scene with Luke really just engraved it in my head, especially how he just put Han Solo in carbonite. I'm thinking to myself, okay, this guy's a bit of a maniac equivalent. And then I started reading little bits of the comics. I've not read all the comics, and I've not read many. I'll say that. But Empire Strikes Back for me, just the Darth Vader scene, that specific sequence on the Lando system made me love that film.
Awesome. And how about you, Shell?
My favorite are two of them. One old, one new. One old. My very first one is Return of the Jedi. I love the Ewoks. The Ewoks were amazing. How they could live up in the trees and avoid all the monsters down below. They were very smart little furballs. And the other one is Revenge of the Sith, because you got to see how Darth Vader actually got turned, what caused him to become an evil villain, and then you got to see Yoda fight finally, the master of all Jedi's fighting scene for him. That was really cool.
Yeah.
So those are my two favorites.
Cool. And Di?
My favorite Star Wars. I don't know what it's called, but it's the one where they have, because I always get confused by the numbers, because the original 3 that came out is not episode 1, 2, and 3.
Right.
So
No.
they're like 4, 5, 6 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, but it's the one where they have the races at on
So
episode 1.
you actually like episode 1 with the Phantom Menace, with when Anakin's a young boy. He does the pod racing.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
the one with the pod racing. That's what I was trying to think of. Yes,
Yeah.
the pod racing. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. But it. I think that's where they introduce Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah.
For the first
Yeah.
time.
Right.
And I love Jar Jar Binks. He just cracks me up. I don't care what he's doing. It just cracks me up. He's totally misplaced. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, especially when he sticks his tongue in the connecting wave guide and just
Right.
zaps himself off. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great. It's just
Yeah.
funny shit. So. But yeah, that's probably my favorite. I like the fact that the kid, well, I wish I could remember all the names and stuff. But anyway, where he loses his whatever that thing was on the side of his ship, and he's got his it looks like a toilet plunger, and
Yeah.
he plugs it back in,
Right.
and off he goes like a bat out of hell. And it's just I don't know. It just, to me, that's one of the best.
There's definitely a lot of suspense in that pod race,
it was,
for sure.
and it was very well done. So that whole storyline I really liked, because some of the other stuff, like Shell was talking about the Ewoks, and I thought that was a great episode right up until the end. Where they're all standing around singing "Kumbaya,"
Right.
and I just, come on, they just went one step too far. So I mean, I like the chase scenes with the motorcycles in the weeds. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah.
I just want to apologize to everybody real fast. I'm sorry about the ads in the video. What I did was I just went and found a bunch of different scenes from Star Wars, all the movies and stuff, and I just put them into a playlist. So we're watching a playlist. So if somebody else has got monetized, then unfortunately we're going to get their ad. So I just want to throw that out there.
I was going to ask you about that because if you had played the film trailers, you probably wouldn't get any copyright strikes.
Right. But I wanted
So-
to have there were certain scenes I wanted to
Scenes.
have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So
But I have to say, I like all the Star Wars movies to one degree or another. There's, like I said, the thing about like with the Ewoks, I mean, the whole beginning of it I thought was great, and it's the last 5 minutes that just kind of killed me,
right.
So, and so like, the one that I like the most, like I said, is whatever. Which one is it again?
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace is the only one that, from beginning to end, that I can think of off the top of my head. And because it's the one I got it in DVD, and that's the one when I want to watch a Star Wars movie, that's the one I watch. So because there's none of those moments in there you're going like, why is this in the movie?
Right.
Type of thing. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think all the Star Wars movies themselves across the board are and I don't care which one you want to talk about. I mean, to me, they're all really good. Some people say, well, they're not canon, or they're not this or whatever, and they're movies, guys. So.
Well, Vault Girl says finally someone else likes Jar Jar. Because Jar Jar is not the most liked character, so much so that that what's his name? Best is his last name. I can't think of his first name. He even even before the world of social media, he was getting hate mail and everything else from all the people that did not like Jar Jar.
Yeah.
So much to the point where he almost committed suicide. And that's
Ahmed
how
Best.
Oh wow.
Ahmed Best. There you go. And how pathetic is that? Not on his part, but the fact that
Right.
somebody would give him that much hate mail that
Yeah.
he would feel like that's what he needs to do. And I mean, I thought Jar Jar was a fine character. There was parts that like him stepping in the Bantha Poo and some of the other stuff that I felt like we could have done without, as for me, way too slapsticky, type of thing. But it wasn't Jar
Yes,
Jar's
at
fault.
ti-
Jar Jar was a
at-
fine character.
Yeah, at times it was a bit too slapsticky, but I happen to like slapstick humor. So
Right. It just slapstick humor to me doesn't fit into Star Wars. Star Wars. You have a lot of one-liner, kind of smart-ass comments, and that's where a lot of the humor comes in. But slapsticky to me doesn't belong there. But then again, George also said, oh, after the fact anyway, these were all made for kids. All right, George, I don't think so. You don't cut off people's hands if you're making them for kids.
kids, exactly.
Like, okay.
You bad. Let's whack your hand off.
Yeah, and we'll get into this a little bit deeper as we go, but let's move on. Nacho, which one's your favorite?
I actually thought that the answer was going to be overwhelmingly Empire, so I said, okay, I'll skip over Empire and go straight to my second favorite. I am surprised by the group that we have here, so that's awesome. Empire is my favorite. My second favorite is probably controversial in that I thought the highs in Last Jedi were really high, and the lows in Last Jedi were really, really low. There are sections of The Last Jedi that are absolutely my favorite in Star Wars. Specifically, any scene with Luke and Rey, I loved.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. Yeah, and trust me, I will definitely, I'm sure we'll have some opinions about
Yeah, me and
about
Gary have
some of that
disagreed on
stuff.
this many of times.
Right.
The idea that Luke did not have a happily ever after, but had a more realistic arc to his life, in that he had great aspirations and was not able to follow through. He was a human after all. I love that.
Yeah, I think they missed out on having him come out drunk with a bottle of hooch in his hand. which would have been perfect, to really capitalize on. He
Hey,
failed.
we don't know what's in
miserably.
that green milk.
Hey, you got that right.
Yeah,
It
maybe.
may be fermented green milk. You never know.
Yeah, no kidding. Hey,
What
Shell.
was your theory?
Yeah, because Shell already told us his favorites, right? So mine, I'm gonna have to say, mine is probably gonna be Jedi. You get to see Luke as a Jedi Knight. You know, not necessarily grown up because there's only a few years in between. And all that kind of stuff. But we got to see him, more mature, more comfortable using the Force and all that kind of stuff. And you also got to see him, have his moments of weakness, when he's in the throne room and all that kind of stuff. Unlike Shell, when I was a kid, I loved the Ewoks. I thought they were great. As I've gotten older, they they're fuzzy little teddy bears, that's for sure. And they're adorable as hell. I can still appreciate what their role in the story is, where their whole role is that you don't have to be technological and have special powers or anything like that to defeat the Empire or evil, wherever it's at. You just have to be willing to stand up and fight for it. So I can fully appreciate that. But yeah, it's just like now that when I watch it, it feels like too much, too much cuteness. So
They kind of depend on guerrilla warfare if you think of it.
yeah, they do. They really do.
And I loved that aspect because we've not seen any of it
Right,
anywhere before.
right, and that's one of the things I really like about them. But yeah, the like just the overwhelming cuteness is kind of like right. But I love, like you said, the guerrilla warfare aspect and all that kind of stuff. I think that's perfect, and it's I love it. I think that part's pretty cool.
Well, the Ewoks were actually so popular that they made two spin-off movies.
Right. Yeah. TV made for TV movies. Yes.
You remember the traps the Ewoks made? You gotta think they already made those traps before the Empire even showed up. So you gotta wonder what were they trying to kill with those traps.
There's a specific animal, I can't remember. It hunts Ewoks, but it's not canon. It's called like the Morax or something.
Right. Yeah.
So they usually try and trap them and put them elsewhere.
Right. I mean, we don't necessarily know that they made them before the Empire showed up. We just know that they made them before Han and Leia showed up and kind of got them. Maybe they were already kind of building up to go against the Empire, and they just kind of needed that push to go that direction or something.
True.
Yeah. How about you, Mikey? What's your favorite?
I have three actually that are very tie.
You get to have one.
It's
One.
really hard. Hey, I'm the host.
I'm sorry.
I can have things I want.
One. What is your favorite, not favorite? So.
Wait, you answered with one. Someone answered with two. I can't remember who it was.
I'm gonna say Revenge of the Sith.
Ooh,
I'm just gonna throw it out there
love that.
because it is the turning point for Anakin. It is, he finally freaking loses it and takes his evil side and tries to destroy Obi-Wan, and it shows the hurt that Obi-Wan has in him as well for having to do what he did to Anakin.
Is that the one we're seeing on
Yeah.
YouTube right now?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
That is a good one. His dark
And this-
side really.
Yeah, this lightsaber scene, one of the best fights ever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
this one and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan against Maul.
Maul.
Those are the by far the two best lightsaber duels in any of the, well, the other one, the one from Phantom Menace isn't really a duel since you got 3 people, but you know what I
Mexican
mean.
standoff.
Yeah, and
You
it's
know,
definitely pretty awesome without a
I
doubt.
quite enjoyed the Mace Windu and Palpatine
Yeah,
Oh, I love that.
duel.
But
right.
there's a few issues I found really annoying with that. Sorry to oh my god, words are not eluding me today. Right, I'll let someone else talk. I'm trying to think of words.
No, so that's one of the things that I was, even though we got like a really good melee hand-to-hand fight in the throne room of The Last Jedi, we didn't have a lightsaber fight. And it was the first Star Wars movie that was part of the saga that didn't have a lightsaber fight. They did use lightsabers, but you didn't see lightsaber on lightsaber. And that was
Well,
that
what about New
was
Hope?
there was a lightsaber fight.
Obi-Wan and Vader.
Obi-Wan and Vader.
Yeah.
So I'm saying The Last Jedi is the only one that didn't have a lightsaber fight.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I
Right.
misheard you. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, that's kind of a bold choice to make for that. But I think I mean that fight in the throne room, that was a pretty awesome fight. I mean, I'll
the
definitely
thing-
give him props there.
The thing I noticed with that is what kind of really annoyed me. There's Kit Fisto, who is like one of the greatest fighters ever in Jedi history, gets beaten in about 2 minutes. Which
Yeah,
I find
yeah.
a bit like, wait, this guy's meant to like not parallel Windu, but beat Anakin to a degree, rumored.
Right.
And he just gets pushed aside against 3 masters as
Yeah.
well.
Right.
I find that a bit far fetched, but
Right.
the
Yeah.
entire scene was greatly executed.
Yeah. And one of the things, and for those that do not know kind of the stuff behind it, so there's 7 different lightsaber techniques that can be used, and there's one that's just kind of a basic novice. They teach it to everybody that first picks up a lightsaber, right? And I wish I had notes where I could tell you which ones are which, but we'll just pretend that I know what the hell I'm talking about. And so everybody learns the first one, and then from there you basically get into advanced classes, right? So there's one that is basically its whole thing is about defense. So you just are just defending until there's an opening, and you take the handful of shots that you get, but basically you're just defending the whole time. And then there are the one that Mace Windu does. He's essentially the only Jedi that is a master of that technique. And I'm sure that over the history, and I've never seen anything that really documented it, but over the history of the Jedi, some other people have probably tried to do it or something like that. But one of the reasons why he's the only master of it is you actually have to use your emotion and your aggression and everything to be a master of that technique. So part of the reason why Mace was actually technically able to defeat Palpatine was because of the fact that he tapped into his aggression and his emotion and all that kind of stuff. So it was actually kind of part of the storyline type of thing.
That
Well,
sounds
with-
dangerously close to the dark side, Gary.
No,
Well,
yeah, and
actually,
that's what
it
that's what it
is.
is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in Return, no, what is it? Rise of the Sith, which is a book that came out, and again, I know a lot of books were thrown out and stuff like that. They talk about Mace Windu and how Annie was trying to learn his style because Mace's style is he pushes it just to the line of the dark side, but does not cross, and that's what made Mace Windu such a powerful Jedi that he was, and he the only Jedi who had the purple lightsaber because of being so close to the dark side, but not stepping over that threshold.
That sounds an awful lot like running full tilt towards the edge of a cliff and then stopping and just like hoping you don't ever actually slip and go over.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's I mean, because you actually find out if you ever read the book for uh Revenge of the Sith, that they break that down, all that kind of stuff down in the book. Which that's one of the things. The only book I did not read was The Last Jedi, and I was going to listen to the audiobook, but I was so disappointed in the movie. I had
Yeah,
it
me
like
too.
broke my heart to even think about reading the book for The Last Jedi. So I just lost all interest in it. So
I'm the same, to be fair. Last Jedi for me was just a flop.
yeah, I mean, and there was parts about it that I liked, and I
Yeah.
totally respect Nacho's thoughts on it. It had great highs and great lows, but the main aspect of there's two things about The Last Jedi that um, bugged me at the time and will continue to bug me, and I don't think there's anything that they could ever do to make them not bug me. And that is the fact that what Finn and Rose went through that entire time was a complete
Yeah.
waste of time. They accomplished absolutely nothing
Yeah.
Boring,
other
terrible,
yeah,
awful.
right. And all it did was it didn't serve any part of the story. All it did was gave them a reason to have a connection, in the
The
future.
most pointless connection.
Right,
ever.
exactly. Yeah.
Made no
Well,
sense.
but Benito del Toro's had to have some kind of scene in the movie. They couldn't just cut it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
and
I
that's
thought. Go on.
yeah, I was gonna say that's like the only reason they have it is just to bring him in. It's like the only advantage,
This is the point where I believe J.J. Abrams should have stayed as director, producer,
Right.
because he set up a great. I mean, I'm not a fan of the new stuff except for Rogue One.
Rogue One was good. I like that
Near
idea.
perfect in my opinion. And J.J. Abrams set up the building blocks for Knights of the Ren, Kylo Ren, Rey, then Ryan, whatever his name is, Rian Johnson or something. He came in,
right.
didn't say anything about Knights of the Ren. We saw like a 5 minutes in a flashback. And honestly, when they announced Benicio del Toro, or if that's his name, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
When he announced him, I'm thinking, okay, he might play one of the knights because it would make sense because we might see who Kylo Ren turned over. But no, we just got a loads of Praetorian guards in a throne room, which I thought a bit weird since we've never even heard of them before.
Right, right. So, like the Praetorian Guards are very close to the Imperial Guards that the Emperor had, right? And
Yeah.
that's what they were based on and that kind of stuff. But like you said, there was no hint of them from The Force Awakens. And then you introduce this, amazing character of Snoke from in the Force Awakens, and then all you do is kill him off. Like,
Yeah, no backstory whatsoever.
Right.
They made him
Which,
so
no.
mysterious in the first one. In the second one, there was no payoff. What a
Right.
disappointment.
right, exactly. And
Hey,
Between that and Admiral Holdo. Admiral Holdo can go pound sand.
yeah, I mean,
Like I don't care that it was a woman. It was just like this dumbest plan ever. Run away and hope. It's flippin'
well, and
stupid.
even then, okay, if that's all you have, and that's what you're going to accomplish, right? At least tell people. Instead, you get a hothead pilot that I mean, all you have to do is have any inkling of anything. This hothead pilot's just going to want to go do something. A hothead pilot's not just going to sit on his ass and wait for, all right, well, apparently you've got a plan, so let's let it, come to fruition. I'm not going to bother to do anything. No, he's going to do something. You probably should bring him in on the thing so that way he doesn't do something to jeopardize what your plan is. And, all of that could have been avoided. But the other aspect of The Last Jedi that I absolutely hated, and this comes from somebody like I said, I told you what my favorite movie was. Return of the Jedi, right? And the reason why I liked it, you got to see Luke more mature, he's stronger in the Force and using his powers and all that kind of stuff. And especially, and I know they're not canon anymore, but I've read 50 of the now Legends or what have you, the expanded universe books. At least 50 of those damn things. And Luke, in basically all of them, Luke is in one way or another a badass.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see a Jedi Master, Luke Skywalker, who is arguably one of the most powerful Jedi ever. I wanted to see him kick royal ass. I'm okay with him, dying and, giving himself up. That part I'm perfectly okay with. I would have been fine with it if it would have worked out that way. If we would have had Luke tearing people up from, the moment Rey showed up to the island to the end when he, sacrifices himself or whatever.
Well,
I would have been fine with it. But they completely just went, no, that's not Luke Skywalker anymore. We're going to make him a bitter old man that is going to be pouting like a teenage little kid because he screwed up. That
Well,
to
the
me
thing-
is just ruined. That ruined Luke Skywalker's legacy
So
for me.
It sounds
Yeah.
like, Gary, we have two sides of the same coin. You hated the change because it was a surprise, and I loved the change because it was a surprise.
Well, I didn't hate it because it was a surprise. I hated it because it was completely counter to what like everybody expected Luke to be, right?
all right, well,
And
listen.
what I wanted him to be, because that's what everything for 30 years, right? 30 years of all the expanded universe and everything else. 30 years of Luke Skywalker being a badass, and what do I get? A scared little kid that just doesn't want to go screw up anymore.
You can
Yeah,
also
well-
argue. Listen, what about this argument? Okay, and don't you know how I feel? I agree, and I know why he's the way he is. Even though they throw books out and it's no longer canon, I don't believe in that shit. What about Obi-Wan Kenobi? Okay, if you take out the factor of the order that the movies came out, okay, and you put them in order, say one came out first, two, then three, then four, then so on, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi's a badass. Look at all the shit he did in the Clone Wars. Look at all the stuff that he achieved. In The New Hope, he's this feeble old man who doesn't want to get involved at first and doesn't show off his powers until his death, which is the same thing that Luke
But
did.
okay, so
It's a different quantity of
Yeah,
failing
and
there.
it's the same with Han Solo when they killed him. His son kills him in the.
right,
It's so fucking lame.
but
You got this rework, these badass people of the universe, and they're like, they pussy out at the end. Oh man, it's really depressing.
well, and with Obi-Wan, let me address Obi-Wan, Mikey. Obi-Wan was on a very specific mission from Yoda. He was told to go to Tatooine, look over Luke, make sure he's safe because he was the last hope, right? He was the Jedi that was supposed to, when he got old enough, Obi-Wan was actually supposed to train him. And, all that kind of stuff. So that's why he was there, and that's why he, kind of hid that he had Force powers, because he knew that the Emperor and Vader were going to be looking all over the galaxy to try to find him and any other Jedi so they could kill him. So
That's what I was just gonna say. You beat me to it.
Yeah, but you also got to realize that throughout the whole movie, Obi-Wan does nothing but plays mind tricks with, the stormtroopers and everything else. The only one time you actually see him be badass is in the cantina scene when that guy tries to start a fight with Luke and he just like freaking quickly swoops and cuts off the guy's arm.
right, but
Throughout the whole movie, he's still
by that time
docile.
though, Obi-Wan knew what his role was. My role is to just make sure Luke stays safe, do everything I can to make sure he stays safe until I can train him. So I'm only gonna do, because he's the wizened old Jedi. You have to think of the Jedi as like a a Tibetan monk. Don't hurt people, and don't kill a fly and all that kind of stuff. That's they react out of defense only type of thing. So that's what you have to think of Obi-Wan. That's where his mindset's in. That's the way he was brought up by the Jedi and all that kind of stuff. So he fought when he had to, but it's not his first choice is to fight. As a perfect example, he was a master. In fact, he was most people in the Jedi Order would arguably say that he was the best master of the defensive lightsaber technique that I mentioned earlier. So, like when he fought Grievous, it was all defensive. That's why he was actually the perfect Jedi to go against Grievous, because he was so good at that defensive technique that he could just sit there and parry until he had his moments. And what's he do? He just disarms him, repetitively until Grievous just runs away like a little bitch.
Well, what I
I
have
just
to
like
think about Return of the Jedi at the end, when it's all done and said over, Luke came back, and from that point on, he was known as a hero. But when you go into these new movies, they downgraded him so much that that whole, like Gary was saying, 30 years on, he just doesn't seem like he wasn't the hero. At the end of the Return of the Jedi, he was supposed to be the hero. But when we go into the new ones, he looks like he's a bad guy.
Gary, I think your stream just got cut off.
Oh, it did.
Nope. It is now. Policy violations.
Oh, really? Policy violations for what? Showing these videos that are already on YouTube?
That's what it says. Stream unavailable. Stream suspended for policy violations.
Okay, somebody explain this to me so we can figure out this.
You were streaming video clips in a playlist.